Hello, hello, hello. It's Bonnie here, your um, best life coach. And I'm here today to say hello and happy Saturday. We're still getting some sunshine here in the Pacific Northwest, and I am loving it because we've had fall, right? And so we're heading into that season of darkness and rain, and with it brings a lot of introspection. And it's interesting what's coming up right now in some of my groups and some discussions and some clients is the concept of what do we do with our emotions? So there's this question that keeps coming up around I have a lot of big emotions. How do I get rid of them? What do I do with them? How do I deal with all these emotions and where are they coming from and how can I stop them? Well, just like the sun rising or the rain coming, you can't stop them and you don't want to. Your emotions are information. They're data. They're clues to what's going on inside of you, right? And reacting to the outside world. The key is to recognize them for what they are. What ends up happening is we cling on to them. We grab onto them and we create little pockets of remembering within ourselves and they get triggered and brought up over and over and over again. And the key is that we need to heal those things. So when you recognize that emotions are a form of energy and they're moving through you, just like your thoughts, just like feeling good or feeling depressed, those things are either energy moving or energy blocked. Does that make sense so far? And all of your emotions are preceded by a thought. If you want to get to the crux of where your emotions are coming from, you need to start digging into what were the thoughts, however quick or brief or almost minuscule that they were before you had the emotion. That's the first thing you can do. Start digging into what are the thoughts that happened just before the emotion, because that's where your emotions come from. They don't actually pop up uninvited. Our thoughts invite them. The problem is most of us aren't really all that aware of our thoughts. We just kind of have them and carry on, right? And if you start thinking about your perception of life, so this is the part where what do we do with them once we have them? There are things that happen to you all day, and most of them just kind of float by you. You don't even notice them, or if that brief noticing happens, you don't hold on to it. But then something happens that you do hold on to and you grasp it. And instead of letting it flow, you hold on and then you push it down, right? And I'm sure we've all done this and we all do this. So we've got it, we've held on to it. Some things we've held on to probably since childhood. We're holding on to it. And every time anything similar or even in the neighborhood of similar comes by, it pops back up again, bringing all the pain, all the confusion, all the what ifs, all the jealousy and the frustrations, and even the good things. So we hold on to the good things too, but they all create blockages. Anything you're holding on to, if you think of it like little tiny rocks in a dam, eventually the water doesn't flow very well. It's just a trickle. That's your energy. So we've got to let these rocks go. We've got to unbuild the dam. And how do you do that? Well, it's actually really simple, but it ain't easy. And that's sort of the theme of life, I think. Things are actually a lot more simple than we realize, but they're not always easy. So you've got these blocks, you've got these incidences, these things that happened, and you're literally holding on to them. It's almost like we build a scar tissue capsule around them. And anytime they get opened, they bring with it the same pain, the same frustration, and same anger. So what do? You have to relax and let them come up. And when you hear all these gurus say, you've got to sit with your emotions, that's what they're talking about. You've got to learn how to step back and become the observer of your emotions and of the experience without letting it pull you along, and instead watch it happen and just watch it happen and go. Now, what I know is that it's not always a one and done. Quite often we can let go of pieces of an incident, but other things are a little harder to let go of, and they take a number of times. So don't get discouraged. I know it's hard. I know it can be really, really painful. But what I also know is that once you start releasing and you can step back from it and just relax and let what be, it gets easier. You're able to let more things go. You're able to sort of start having them come not just at one time, like one thing at a time. You're able to let them kind of flow more naturally. And if you think about that example of these things that we're holding on to being like rocks in a dam, you take one away, not much difference, right? A little. You take 5 or 6 and you start taking layers and layers, suddenly the water, your energy, the joy you find in life starts flowing. And let me tell you, once you've experienced that, it does get easier to sit back and be the observer. But I will say this caveat. It takes practice. It takes practice, and it does help to be around other people who are doing that work, who have unblocked their dam, which, depending on what spiritual path you belong to, that can be spirit, it can be chi, it can be your chakras, it can just be energy, it can be your happiness. Whatever words you use, the process is the same. It's a letting go. To actually physically step back in your mind, in your visual third eye, and it's okay. And just watch and observe and learn and let it go. Literally let it flow away from you. Don't go with it. Because that's usually what happens is we start going with those emotions and get caught up in them instead of just letting them flow. So I hope that's helpful to you. If you have more questions, I know it seems a bit sort of almost like in your peripheral vision of understanding until you start to do the work. And things will sharpen in clarity the more you do this. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you do have questions, let me know. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more weekend tips. And if you have a question like this one, which was fascinating and kind of took me off guard when I got it, I wasn't expecting it. It was very early in the morning. Um, Please send them to me, and you can send them to stepintabrilliance@gmail.com or just message me on the app, and I will do my best to answer your question next time. Mwah! Have a beautiful, wonderful weekend. Take care and be well. Bye for now.